There's no one on this planet that can kick my ass.
Who'd have thunk it? James Buster Douglas. That is right, folks. We are not kidding. James Buster Douglas beats Mike Tyson.
We've been working towards and living this wonderful dream. But, I mean, Don King's behavior, that's been a nightmare since.
Mike Tyson did not have to give Buster Douglas a shot. So now I think it's only fitting and proper that Buster Douglas would reciprocate to let the world know, who is the best fighter.
As far as Douglas is concerned, Douglas will get knocked out if he ever has the guts enough to get in the ring with him, and that's what we're looking for.
James Douglas is the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, and we'll fight Evander Holyfield next.
By beating Evander Holyfield, James Douglas removes the doubt, the fluke thing. Now he's beat them both. Even if he had fought Mike Tyson next and beat him again, Evander Holyfield was still there.
The world is waiting for the moment of truth. Welcome to a special edition of Showtime Championship Boxing Report. Douglas Collision Course. Now, from the Mirage Hotel in Las Vegas, your host, Steve Albert.
On October 25th, Buster Douglas and Evander Holyfield will enter into a ring here at the Mirage Hotel in Las Vegas to fight it out for the most prestigious position in all of sports, the heavyweight championship of the world. No title fight in recent memory has provoked so much publicity, generated so much controversy, and created such intrigue. It all started when the lightly regarded challenger, journeyman James Buster Douglas, knocked out the seemingly invincible champion, Iron Mike Tyson. By pulling off one of sport's greatest upsets, Buster Douglas unwittingly set into motion a series of collision courses between boxing's most powerful men. Fought on newspaper headlines, international press conferences, and federal courtrooms, the outcome of these battles will forever change the future of boxing, both inside and outside the ring. To best understand the magnitude of the issues and the enormity of the stakes, we must begin with the two most visible, yet two most innocent combatants, the fighters themselves. Here in the quiet city of Columbus, Ohio, is the home of the current heavyweight champion of the world, James Buster Douglas. He learned his way around the ring at an early age from his father, the scrappy, competitive middleweight contender, Billy Dynamite Douglas.
Well, he was the reason why I even was introduced to boxing, because of him being a professional fighter. He taught me everything about the game, the mental, the physical. And he's very instrumental in me becoming a heavyweight champion.
It's hard because, I'm feeling this when it comes to, like any fighter be fighting. I'm feeling the pains, the blows, and hitting. I know what it's about. I know it's a rough game, and I know that he got to, but he just try to go by one fight at a time.
Despite the fact that he had boxing in his blood, Buster Douglas spent much of his professional life toiling in the relative obscurity of a mediocre career. Many ringside observers believed nature had played a cruel joke on Buster Douglas. It had blessed him with all the physical tools of a champion, the enormous size, the deceptive speed, and of course, the deadly punching power.
James Douglas, God blessed him to be, in my estimation, the greatest fighter ever, potentially. He's highly intelligent. He has great size, speed, power, reach, beak. He's a great athlete.
But some thought nature may have neglected to give him the emotional intangibles that characterized his father's career. They believed Buster Douglas did not have the heart to be a champion.
I've seen Buster Douglas, what we would say, dog it, and not punch back when he got hurt. I think it was a combination that maybe he wasn't in the best of shape at different times. He was heavy. And I think that maybe he didn't have the will or the desire at that time. If that be the tipping of the scales on who's going to win and who's going to lose, well, then he's a loser.
But 40,000 spectators at Tokyo's Korakuen Stadium saw a very different Buster Douglas. They saw a Buster Douglas who had trained as he had never trained before.
I really bust my chops with this one. I was ready, peak shape. I was ready for the challenge, more so mentally than physically, even if that's possible.
A Buster Douglas who had overcome the recent death of his beloved mother.
I think that it motivated him. I think it gave him that extra push. I really did.
She was a strong woman, independent woman, and I owe my whole life to her, you know, and I felt as though if I would have not been able to continue, it would have hurt her even more.
A Buster Douglas who would defy all the odds to become the world heavyweight champion.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
I did what I had to do with what I had to offer. And that was, when the results were heavyweight champion. It's a great feeling. It's a tremendous honor. And it's something that I will appreciate forever.
By winning the heavyweight title, Buster Douglas set into motion a collision course with boxing's most patient fighter, the undisputed heavyweight contender. He trains hour after hour, day after day, year after year, motivated by a lifelong dream to be the heavyweight champion of the world.
It's important because it's a dream, and don't too many people in a lifetime get a chance to meet their dream. And I've been boxing ever since I'm 8 years old, and thinking that, well, maybe I can be the champ. And then the coaches say, yeah, you will be the champ. And you're like, yeah, I'm only 8 years old, and he's saying I can be the champ. Maybe I can, you don't doubt yourself, but as you grow into it and you see that, hey, it's possible. Right now, it's just so close that it is exciting.
This man, of course, is the #1 heavyweight contender in the world, Evander Holyfield. His career, unlike Buster Douglas's, has been fought in the glare of the public spotlight, starting with his controversial semifinal bout in the 1984 Olympics.
The referee said break at the time I would punch, and then the referee awarded him the belt, the decision, because he said I hit the guy on break, which clearly that the punch was already in motion when the referee shouted break.
Although this debatable call prevented Evander Holyfield from winning the gold medal, his behavior won the respect and admiration of fight fans all over the world.
Where I fell in love with Evander was when they disqualified him and how he handled the situation. He never squawked. He never ran around howling all over the place. He took it. He was a gentleman. And we finally talked to him and says, you'll be back.
I just had to look at the positive edge. I did make the Olympic team. I did get the chance to represent the United States, and I did the best I possibly could at that time.
Turning pro after the Olympics, Evander Holyfield won fight after fight. Scored knockout after knockout.
Holyfield comes right after Markey.
And earned title after title.
IBF Cruiserweight Champion of the World, Evander Holyfield.
Having destroyed the competition in the cruiserweight and junior heavyweight divisions, Evander Holyfield had no place to go but up into the heavyweight division.
So far, we've been able to bring it from 204 pounds to 213 pounds. So his body weight has moved up. He's also very strong. And we've been able to convert that strength to speed strength.
He's big enough now. See, they're not trying to make a muscle weightlifter out of him. Now what they're doing is just keeping him toned, that's all.
And there, in the most prestigious and punishing of divisions, Evander Holyfield would meet his toughest challenge yet. His battle with Michael Dokes was declared one of the 10 best fights of the decade by Boxing Scene magazine.
Dokes was my test as a heavyweight. It's a man that gave me a lot of courage, because he's a man that tested me. He's the first heavyweight that I fought with, just as fast and very skillful, good punch, and he's the only fighter right now at the heavyweight division made me reach deep down inside and make me realize that I want to be a heavyweight champion or not.
Yet there are those who believe Evander Holyfield does not have the natural size and strength to win the heavyweight championship of the world.
What they did to Evander is he still has a 32-inch waist, right? He still has light heavyweight legs. What they did is they blew him up with weights and whatever else, I don't know, but they blew him up with weights for one thing. And they took away his legs, his mobility. You know, so now he has to stand there and fight you.
Does Buster Douglas have the heart and the desire to withstand the savage pressure of Evander Holyfield?
If the pressure's too much, he will quit. And I know that he's a very determined young man, and it takes a lot to make any good fighter quit. And so, what I'm saying, I do have a lot.
Is Evander Holyfield big enough and tough enough to stand up to the imposing Buster Douglas?
He's going to run into a tremendous attack, a lot of pressure, and truly a heavyweight beating. And I don't think his little body is up to it.
The answers can only be found in the last brutal round of their collision course, the fight for the heavyweight championship of the world.
I think Evander wins. I think it'll go into the late rounds. I think it'll be a good fight, not a great fight. Evander wins.
I still like Buster Douglas, mainly because he's a bona fide heavyweight who can jab, who can move a little bit, just enough. Evander is a very stationary target. Defensively, he's got a lot of inadequacies, and I don't see Evander, although his heart is very big, it's possible he could hang in there long enough to take care of business, but I don't think so at this point.
If there is an edge to be given, it should be given to Holyfield because he comes off an active campaign, whereas Douglas has not fought since February. Douglas has to lose an enormous amount of weight, whereas Holyfield is right at weight. The factors which will be for Douglas is he has a superior height and weight, and his jab should keep Holyfield at a distance so he can't get inside to win. Luck will be a determining factor in this fight. How it goes one way or another depends on the luck of each athlete. It should be a great one.
Let me add to that. I think Evander wins, but of course I picked Japan in World War II, although I had 7.5 points.
The winning bid has been submitted by the Mirage Casino Hotel. The amount of the winning bid is $32,100,000.
This record-breaking bid by a relative newcomer to the sport set into motion a collision that would shock the boxing world. You might remember him fooling around in these old Golden Nugget commercials. Towels? But don't kid yourself, he's not anybody's fool. We're talking, of course, about one of the most powerful men in Las Vegas today, Steve Wynn.
Marvelous idea, yes.
Nobody has ever accused Steve Wynn of being afraid to spend money. It cost him $630 million to build the Mirage, now a showcase on the Vegas Strip. It seems in less than a year, his gamble has paid off. They say the Mirage is the most dominant hotel casino in Las Vegas, generating revenues of close to $2 million a day. Now, Steve Wynn is entering the business of boxing in the same way.
Looks like fun, doesn't it? We know, looking back on our own history, that we, as human beings, love to watch gladiators. I don't know if that's a good or a bad part of our human nature, but it is a part. And we have these two guys with a great story.
While Steve Wynn's astronomical bid won him the rights to stage this great story, it shook the financial foundations of the sport of boxing. As the champion, James Buster Douglas receives 3/4 of that money, $24 million to be exact. That's more than anyone has ever made for one night's work.
It was unbelievable. I was just blown away by it. I thought, you know, that's beyond my wildest imaginations to think that I would be receiving as much money as I am in one night.
By using the resources of the Mirage, its unique properties and its marketing and publicity teams, and its reputation, Steve Wynn realized he could bypass the traditional functions of a promoter. Needless to say, this has provoked an enormous amount of controversy, and it put Steve Wynn on a collision course with many of boxing's most powerful men.
There's two victims here. One is Buster Douglas and one is myself, and Steve Wynn is the villain.
If this were done in a more traditional way, there were a boxing promoter involved, Steve Wynn would be involved doing what he does best, which is provide the site for a fight, entertain his hotel guests, and host the fight as a casino. That's what Steve Wynn does best. He's getting into areas that he knows nothing about.
On the other hand, Steve Wynn has many of his own supporters, all of whom like the idea of not paying money to a promoter.
I think we ought to have 10 more Steve Wynns, because you add up interest. You add up guys that are going to come out with the big bucks and pay for the talent. God bless Steve Wynn. I hope we have 10 more guys like him.
The great thing about Steve is he believes, like I believe, that the athletes, the guys who get in the ring, put their lives on the line, deserve most of the money, and everyone else should get paid according to what they do.
It's James Douglas that gets hit, whose life is on the line here, and Evander Holyfield. And if they want to fight and get the lion's share of the money because they made a deal for a heavyweight for the biggest fights, that's their business. So I've never felt like this was an issue between myself and the promoters, although some of the promoters have felt that way.
Although Steve Wynn won the right to stage this heavyweight fight at the Mirage, his collision course with boxing's most flamboyant promoter was just beginning in a New York City courtroom.
Feel good. It's great to be American.
I like Holyfield. I like Douglas.
It's tough to pick a winner in that fight. I think Buster Douglas is overweight right now. I think he's going to get back in the gym. Evander Holyfield, he's ready. And I have this strange feeling that Evander Holyfield will be up to the task, and I think he can beat Buster Douglas.
I like Holyfield. I like Douglas.
Buster Douglas is the bigger and the stronger man. However, Evander Holyfield throws his punches shorter, quicker, and they're more accurate. I don't think either fighter has the power to knock the other guy out with one punch. Therefore, I think Evander Holyfield is going to out-hustle Buster Douglas and win a decision.
I do change my mind a lot, and this is the kind of pick 'em fight where I probably won't make up my mind until the first bell.
Before Buster Douglas and Evander Holyfield could collide in the ring, the new champion first had to fight in a different venue, a federal courtroom. In July, Douglas, his manager, John Johnson, and Mirage Hotel owner Steve Wynn locked horns with promoter Don King in an unprecedented lawsuit. The collision course was set and would prove to have landmark implications for the future of boxing.
Well, that's what I said. We think we're having a press conference. John. Yeah, check it.
I came to you in the ring.
No, Don, it's on Don.
You know, we're resolve differences, John, not promote.
Right, it's not here to sling no mud on nobody. That's up to the courts to, finally make the judgment.
Douglas was suing to free himself from his promotional contract with King, which he felt was breached when King tried to have Douglas's victory over Tyson reversed on the basis of an alleged 8th-round long count.
Mr. Douglas believes that Don King breached his contract with James Douglas by his conduct in Tokyo.
King was countersuing Douglas for breach of contract and suing Wynn for inducing Douglas to seek his freedom by dangling before him the richest deal in sports history.
Don King's contracts have been breached by Johnson and Douglas, and the Mirage Casino Hotel, in particular Steve Wynn, has induced that breach. It's a simple story.
A 6-member jury was impaneled to hear the arguments of both sides. If Douglas won, he would become that rarest of boxing species, a free agent, able to sell his services on the open market to the highest bidder.
Do you feel that Mr. King will still be able to be your promoter without any hard feelings?
Depends.
On when?
Yeah.
Likewise, a Douglas victory would propel Wynn into the driver's seat and deal a damaging blow to the age-old profession of the boxing promotion.
It isn't the promoter's right to say they own the fighter and that therefore the hotel's taking it away. It is up to the fighter to take responsibility for his career, like any other athlete.
For King, the battle was for continued control over the heavyweight title, a prize he had tenaciously held onto for more than a decade.
I've made more millionaires in the boxing game than anyone in the history of this game. And naturally, my foes and critics have to come down on me pretty hard. I mean, it's understandable. That's in their selfish and vested interest to do so. I would be hard-pressed for them to come out and extol me lavishly and saying how good I really am. But just check my career. It is incontrovertible and irrefutable. It is phenomenal.
After more than 2 weeks of testimony, the Douglas-King-Wynn lawsuit ended in much the same way the Douglas-Tyson fight did, with both sides claiming victory and confusion reigning.
We're very happy that we're fighting where we want to fight, who we want to fight, when we want to fight, for the greatest deal in sports history.
I have my rights, and that's really what the court for, and the court, I feel good about that. I'm very happy about it.
We look real sad, don't we?
Through it all, everyone seemed to have gotten some measure of satisfaction. To Douglas goes the largest guaranteed purse in boxing history, $24 million to fight Holyfield, although it is believed that some of the $4 million settlement fee owed to King will come from that paycheck.
Able to make my own decision. That's what it's all about. So I consider myself a winner, too.
To King goes the promotional rights to Douglas's future title defenses should he beat Holyfield, including a Douglas-Tyson rematch.
And it's just great to be an American because in America, if you work at it, it's the greatest nation in the world. And it just makes me feel good all over to see due process in its fulfillment.
And to win goes the right to promote Douglas Holyfield and to host at the Mirage Hotel the Douglas-Tyson rematch, potentially the richest fight in boxing history.
The case was engendered by emotional issues. They were dealt with, and everybody sort of restored their equilibrium.
I got what I wanted, and I'm satisfied with it.
We're very, very happy.
I gotta go now, but it's just great to be an American.
With the courtroom battles behind him, James Buster Douglas was free to return to his real business, that of being the heavyweight champion of the world, preparing for his first title defense.
Douglas Holyfield's a heck of a matchup. I like the fight. It's a great fight. I just think that Douglas is going to be too big, too strong, too much of everything. People poo-poo Douglas before Tyson. But I knew Douglas had a great shot to beat Tyson.
If the Buster Douglas that beat Mike Tyson shows up in fantastic condition, highly motivated, and ready to go, I have to give him a slight edge in this bout. But if that Buster Douglas does not show up, Evander Holyfield will march right through him, as Sherman did in marching through Holyfield's home state of Georgia.
Seriously, I believe that this fight will go 4, maybe 5 rounds. Both guys want knockouts. I think James Douglas will knock out Evander Holyfield because of that fact. Because James Douglas can take a punch. That's one thing most people have totally forgotten about the Tyson fight. But I think James Douglas will win by knockout in the 5th round. And for sure, though, it will be a great fight.
When the two athletes step into the ring, the various collision courses, with all of their controversy, intrigue, and hoopla, will give way to the most fundamental and primal of battles. It'll be 2 men in one small space, fighting it out to be the winner. Will it be the champion, James Buster Douglas?
There's no way that he's going to walk into my fortress and make me surrender without due battle. I'm talking about a serious battle without just cause. And I don't think he can withstand the punishment that he would have to take to make that happen, because he would have to take one hell of a beating.
Or will it be his challenger, Evander Holyfield?
I got to prove it now. I've been working this hard. Now it's time for me to prove that I am better. It's not nothing personal. It's just, the business matter where that I got to go in and prove to the people that, I am what I say I am, the best.
Waiting to see who will emerge the winner are a number of fighters, including the former champion, Iron Mike Tyson, who anxiously awaits the chance to avenge his only professional defeat and regain his lost crown. And there is also, of course, the ageless, formidable banger, George Foreman, who has confounded the experts with his comeback string of knockout victories.
They intend for George Foreman to get so old in his mind that he'll quit. The only thing that can stop me is George Foreman. I'm not quitting this time.
It's been a long time since the heavyweight division has been so competitive, so complicated, and filled with so many colorful characters. And all of them, fighters and power brokers alike, will forget their battles in the courtrooms and press rooms when James Buster Douglas and Evander Holyfield fight it out at the Mirage Hotel and Casino.
We've had a lot of conflicting parties. But when we talk about a collision course, the only one that matters The only one that anybody's ever going to remember is not the collision between the Duvas and the Winds and the Mirages and the Kings of this world. They don't really matter. For all the fans at home and in the stands, the collision course, it matters. And the resolution of it is the one that's going to take place in that ring between Holyfield and Douglas on October 25th.
To the victor will come the glory and money of being the heavyweight champion of the world. To the vanquished will come the tragedy and sorrow of losing the most coveted title in all of sports. Thank you for watching Douglas versus Holyfield, Collision Course, a special edition of the Showtime Championship Boxing Report. You can see James Buster Douglas versus Evander Holyfield live Thursday, October 25th on pay-per-view cable TV.